Hello, my Yerba hooligans and mate addicts. I'm Thomas, your host, and I have the pleasure to welcome you again to another episode of Mateina, your podcast that is all about Yerba Mate and is powered by Somos Mateina. Yep, that's also us. Today, what are we going to do and talk about? I can already give you some idea. We are obviously going to do a Yerba review. Beautiful Yerba review of a brand that has gained popularity ever since Lionel Messi started playing in Miami because they came out with a special edition. I think you already know what I am talking about. If not, stay tuned because we are going to reveal it in a second. And then we have something that is also very interesting. Functional beverages. What are functional beverages? Well, stay tuned. You will hear what they are because we are going to compare Yerba Mate not with coffee but with other teas. And we'll look at what other teas promise and if they can keep their promise. That is everything that we're going to talk about today. So without any further ado, we are going to dive right into Mate Rojo Yerba Mate 10. What is Yerba Mate 10? If you have never heard of Mate Rojo Yerba Mate 10, you've probably seen it. It became very popular, as I said, ever since Lionel Messi joined the Inter Miami Club de Fútbol. Inter Miami's football club. It's a pink package that we're going to talk about today. It has a number 10 on it. And it looks exactly like the number 10 that Lionel Messi wears on his jersey at Inter Miami. And the brand is Mate Rojo. Comes from Argentina and is sometimes called the Messi Yerba. Does he drink it himself? We will know in a few minutes. But at first glance, what does the package look like? What does it give away? We're going to review all of the exterior, the interior. We're going to look at what the taste profile is. We're going to look at what the consistency is and how it performs. And we'll see, does it perform up to Messi standards or not? Bright pink, as I said. Bright pink is the packaging. It has the number 10 on it, printed across the front. If you go to a store and you're looking for Yerbas, I guarantee you cannot miss it. Even if it's hidden in the darkest corner of the store, you will see it because, to my knowledge, Yerba Mate, yes, Mate Rojo, is the only one that comes in a pink package that is referencing the colors of Inter Miami and its most famous athlete, Lionel Messi. So what was the idea behind this? I think it was very clever because mate is already deeply connected to the Argentinian culture. And Argentinian culture is almost nothing without its sport. Yes, I said it. Without its football, actually. So if you look at the photos of the Argentinian national team when they are traveling, they always travel with their materos, with their like little bags full of Yerba, and then they have their handmade gourds and their beautiful bombichas. So they're traveling with that to celebrate Argentina's most iconic player. And yes, I know there is Maradona. I would say that the number 10 also stands a little bit for Diego Maradona because in the end, Maradona and Messi, who was more popular, who is more Argentine, who is or was the better player, that is really up to you. But the number 10 stands for Argentinian culture, and in this case, it references back to Lionel Messi and Inter Miami. in terms of marketing, this was a very clever idea, because you see it, you recognize it, and you know what it is, right? But where does the brand itself come from? It's an Argentinian brand. It comes from Oberá, which is in the province of Misiones, northeast of Argentina. It's known, as you already know, for its red soil, humid climate, and dense subtropical forest. And Mate Rojo is well connected to its long agricultural tradition. So the brand behind this is Molinos La Misión S.A., which was originally founded by Don Juan Eladio Stepaniuk. Well, Don Juan, very Spanish, but Stepaniuk. Yes, you guessed it right. He was the son of Ukrainian immigrants that immigrated to Argentina during the early waves of the European migration. And he started with his family that brand. Built his own drying facilities, mills, and that allowed him to control the entire spectrum from cultivation to packaging. So you know when you get Mate Rojo what's in it, and you also know from the outside what Mate Rojo is, although it's pink. At least that special edition that I'm talking about. And that started, well, in the 1900s. That's a long time ago, the early 1900s to be exact. But today, the company manages hundreds of hectares of plantations across Misiones and even the neighboring regions, and continue the tradition of producing yerba mate within a family-run system. Now, the Messi-inspired 10 or 10 edition is slightly special in terms of processing, because it's a natural reserve yerba, which means the leaves are aged for not just 12 months, but double that, 24 months before packaging. And that's a relatively long period of time for an Argentinian yerba, but aging plays a major role in shaping the final flavor. So it's a very unique flavor because it aged significantly longer than your average Argentinian yerba. So how does the yerba go from the field to the pink package? Well, first, yerba is dried, and then it can be extremely sharp or grassy. But over the time, when it rests in storage, the flavors mellow down, becomes more rounded. And after the aforementioned 24 months aging period, it tends to be a lot softer, not as bitter anymore, and it brings out deeper herbal notes. When you open the bag for the first time, you notice the cut of the leaves. The yerba follows your traditional classic Argentinian style cut, meaning you'll see a mixture of leaves, stems, and moderate amount of powder. The leaves are relatively coarse and mixed with noticeable palo and stems. Palo is the dust, which helps balance the flavor and slow down the extraction in the gourd. And around a third of that mixture is stems, which is fairly typical for traditional Argentinian yerbas. That has its advantages, which we will discuss in a few seconds. So looking at the aroma, the smell of the dried leaves give you a subtle wood scent, like mixed with forest-like herbal notes. It's almost a faint of sweetness hiding in the background, and some might even compare it to vanilla or dried fruits. It's not really a sharp smell, it's quite soft, and it's very, very inviting. And then you want to start to drink it, right? And you want to know what it tastes like. So once you pour the warm water, you know the right temperature by now, the flavor begins with a traditional Argentine mate bitterness. But it's relatively smooth. It's not aggressive like some Uruguayan yerbas. And the taste profile leans toward an earthy and herbal flavor. It has some mild smokiness to it, and that is typical classic mate processing. The bitterness softens after a while, the flavor becomes rounder, and the herbal character stays present and comes out. You might notice a slightly creamy or velvety texture in the mouth. And sometimes it's even described as having a soft sweetness to it that appears later in the session. Thanks to the traditional leaf to stem ratio, the mate doesn't wash out too quickly. You pour it, and the first ones are, as you probably know, rather intense, and then the flavor stabilizes. It does not wash out. It lasts through many refills, so it's a really good option for long mate sessions and if you need a good energy kick, because the leaves contain natural caffeine along with the related compounds like theobromine, theophylline. They together produce a stimulation that feels smooth and sustained, not like in coffee that you don't feel that jitterness. Let's go back to the marketing story behind it, because that's really where Yerba Mate Rojo 10 comes in. It has that number 10 on it. It's pink. Everything refers to Miami. Everything refers to Lionel Messi. However, at least to my knowledge, Messi does not drink this. Messi drinks Uruguayan Yerba. Yep, I said it. Messi drinks Uruguayan Yerba. And so does most of the Argentine national team. They drink Uruguayan Yerba. They drink Canarias. However, back to the marketing. They tried to develop a new market, especially in the Miami region, when Messi moved there, with their packaging, with their number 10 that looks exactly like the number 10 that Messi wears. It tried to produce, or it tried to connect with fans through that symbolism rather than an explicit branding or collaboration. And the brand has even promoted the Yerba internationally, not just within Argentina or, as I said, Miami. It included marketing efforts that spreads all over the world, because Messi and what that Yerba stands for is, in the end, Lionel Messi is well known all over the world, and you might gain new audiences, and highlights the connection between Argentine culture, football, and Yerba Mate. And where else would you go if not to somosmateina.com to find your Mate Rojo Yerba Mate 10, the Messi edition. Right now, we have it in store, so join us. I mean, maybe you can hear the background. I have it right here in front of me. Enjoy Calidad Mate Rojo Reserva Natural 24 meses. Made in Argentina. And it's gluten-free. Somosmateina.com, we have it. Just go on our store or follow us on Instagram at somosmateina for the latest tips and tricks, updates on the Yerba market, and get yourself a bag. Try it and comment. Let me know how you like it, because I think it's a very unique taste. And yes, I am sipping on it right now. And that reminds me, I have not even taken one sip of Yerba yet. I took one before I started this episode, but ever since then, no Yerba. Let's get the taste buds dancing a lambada. Good. So when you drink Mate Rojo 10, just like I did, you're not just trying another Yerba, you're tasting a product that blends traditional mate agriculture with modern football culture and international marketing. I mean, it has to be said. So overall, how I would describe it. This yerba, it's solid. It's a traditional Argentine style with the blend of leaves, stems, powder. It's smooth. It has a balanced profile. And I would certainly recommend it for beginners because it's an easy drink. It lasts long, but yet it's still interesting enough for experienced mate drinkers as well. And to be honest, the Messi-inspired design, it just adds fun, a cultural layer, and it stands out. So for football fans and mate lovers, it's a pretty unique combination of two things Argentina is famous for: great players and great yerba. And maybe one day this bag will become a collector's item. Mate Rojo, yerba mate, yes. Messi edition. Am I even allowed to say this? Messi edition? But it references back to Lionel Messi, no? So I hope I'm allowed to say this without being sued. But I think when you look at it, pink package, the 10, it just screams Lionel Messi. Yeah, that was the yerba review of the week. Special edition. Mate, yes. Mate Rojo obviously produces other mates too, but this, I guess, has become their most famous one because of its design. But let's move on to our main topic, functional beverages. What are functional beverages? That term sounds very technical, but we're going to break it down and really see what it is, because we're talking here about yerba mate, about matcha. We also look at green tea and kombucha and ginseng. Those are all considered functional beverages. We look at what they do, how they work, and if they keep their promise. But I want to take you out first. Not on a date. I just want to take you out of wherever you are right now. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine this. It's early morning in Buenos Aires, in Miami, or wherever you want to be right now. The sun is just starting to warm up the streets. Someone sits on the side of the street with a bunch of friends, fills a small hollow gourd with green leaves. 2/3 of it. Pours in warm water and takes a slow sip through a metal straw. And then he fills it up again and hands it over to the person next to him. The drink is earthy, it's slightly bitter, and deeply energizing. And all of that can be seen on the facial expression of the person drinking it. And across the world, in Kyoto, someone else is whisking a bright green powder into a bowl. In Shanghai, tea leaves are steeping in a porcelain cup. In California, a bottle of fermented tea is fizzing quietly on a kitchen counter. You see all of that? And then imagine the drink that comes with all these scenarios, with all these scenes. It's not just one drink, right? It's different ones. Different places, different rituals. But all of them are connected by the same modern idea: functional beverages. And you've probably seen them everywhere. Drinks that promise more than just hydration. Drinks that claim to boost energy, improve focus, support gut health, or help your body adapt to stress, or even make you grow a third leg. And among these drinks, there's Yerba Mate that has promised a lot and, in my opinion, keeps all its promises. But today we're going to explore how mate compares with other famous functional beverages like matcha, green tea, kombucha, and ginseng tea. Because each of these drinks has a unique story and each works in a slightly different way inside the body. And all of these beverages, they promise something. But can they keep their promise just as mate does? We're going to find out what makes each of these drinks unique. How do they affect energy and focus? And why is Yerba Mate gaining so much global attention and is not just a marketing gag? But let's start with the big question. What is a functional beverage? A functional beverage is essentially a drink that provides physiological benefits beyond basic nutrition. That said, it might support cognitive performance, metabolism, immune health, stress resilience, gut health. And many of these benefits come from bioactive compounds like antioxidants, polyphenols, probiotics, or plant alkaloids. But interestingly, most functional beverages aren't new inventions at all. They go back. They're traditional drinks that cultures have used for centuries. Yerba Mate comes from South America, as we know, Argentina, Uruguay, the Guarani people. Matcha and green tea come from Japan and China. Ginseng drinks come from East Asia, herbal medicine traditions mainly. And kombucha has roots that stretch back to over 2,000 years. In other words, long before biohacking existed, people were already drinking functional beverages. They just didn't call them that. So we'll start with Yerba Mate. Mate is, as you know, and if you don't know, welcome to my show because we've talked about this before and I hope you like it. We're going to give you a quick refresher on what Yerba Mate is. It comes from the plant Ilex paraguayensis, which grows in the regions of northeast Argentina, Paraguay, Brazil, and Uruguay. It contains caffeine, but also has two related compounds, theobromine and theophylline, which creates a unique stimulation profile. And instead of that sharp, spiky energy that coffee gives you, mate tends to produce a smoother, longer-lasting alertness. So mate drinkers describe the effects as focused but calm energy. And mate also contains a large amount of antioxidants. Some studies even suggest more than green tea. But perhaps the most interesting part of mate isn't just the chemistry, it's the ritual. Traditionally, mate is shared between friends. It's this hollow gourd sipped through that metal straw that is called a bombicha. Slow, it's communal. It encourages mindfulness, conversation. It brings people together. So that's Yerba Mate in a nutshell. Yeah, Yerba Mate, focus, clean energy, smooth, long-lasting, theobromine and theophylline in combination with caffeine. Beautiful drink. Matcha. What is matcha? Unlike regular tea, matcha is made by grinding entire tea leaves into a fine powder. So when you drink it, you're consuming pretty much a whole leaf. And this dramatically increases the amount of nutrients and antioxidants. Matcha also contains caffeine, but it also contains a unique amino acid called L-theanine. L-theanine promotes relaxation and reduces the jittery side effects of caffeine. The result is a mental state that researchers often describe as calm, alertness. So I guess there is a comparison to yerba mate. And that's one of the reasons matcha has long been associated with meditation and focus practices in Japanese culture. Compared to yerba mate, matcha tends to produce a more subtle type of energy, while mate often feels a bit more stimulating and social. Yeah, matcha, L-theanine. No jitters, calm alertness. I guess you can call it the focus champion. Green tea. Yep, green tea from Japan and China. Green tea is probably the most widely consumed of all those drinks. Like matcha, it comes from the plant Camellia sinensis. But instead of powdered leaves, green tea is brewed from dried leaves that are steeped in hot water. Green tea also contains moderate levels of caffeine and high amounts of polyphenols, particularly compounds called catechins. And these antioxidants have been linked to benefits like improved metabolism, cardiovascular health, and reduced inflammation. Compared to mate, green tea tends to deliver lighter stimulation. It's gentle enough that people often drink several cups throughout the entire day, whereas mate, you don't brew it, you just drink it slowly, enjoy it with friends, family, or you enjoy it while you have a conference call. It's up to you. But yeah, green tea is gentle enough that people often drink it throughout the entire day. And if mate is strong and a social stimulant and matcha is a focused ritual drink, green tea is more like a steady background companion. So what is kombucha? Kombucha is quite different from the other drinks that we have talked about because it is, do you know what it is? Leave a comment below. Leave a comment below. Do you know? I'll give you 3 seconds. What is kombucha that the other beverages that we have talked about are not? 3, 2, 1. Fermented. Yes, it's made by fermenting sweetened tea with a culture of bacteria and yeast known as SCOBY. SCOBY. It's a cute name, right? And during that fermentation, microbes produce organic acids, trace vitamins, and sometimes probiotics. That's why kombucha is often associated with gut health, so it's good for your stomach. Unlike mate, matcha, or green tea, kombucha usually contains very little caffeine, so it's not that thing that gives you energy in the morning. But it calms down your stomach. Instead of that stimulating your nervous system, its benefits are thought to come primarily from supporting the gut microbiome. And since the gut and brain communicate through what scientists call the gut-brain axis, some people believe improving gut health can indirectly support mood and mental clarity. So the mental clarity comes from your gut. So in other words, kombucha may help focus not by stimulating the brain, but by supporting the body systems connected to it. And then we have ginseng. There is a bunch of ginseng drinks, and I would call them the adaptogenic option. Because ginseng drinks are often made from the roots of plants like Panax ginseng. And it's considered an adaptogen. And adaptogens are compounds believed to help the body adapt to physical and mental stress. So rather than stimulating the nervous system like caffeine does, adaptogens tend to work more subtle by supporting hormonal balance and resilience. People often use ginseng drinks to combat fatigue, improve endurance, or support cognitive performance during stressful periods. Compared to yerba mate, to matcha, ginseng drinks usually feel less immediately stimulating but may support long-term energy stability. So let's summarize all of this. There was a lot of information that I gave you today. Let's summarize all of this. So here's your quick comparison. Yerba mate offers balanced stimulation and strong antioxidants. It's often ideal for sustained focus and social energy. Matcha provides calm, concentrated alertness thanks to its combination of caffeine and L-theanine. Green tea delivers gentle daily support, making it one of the most accessible functional beverages. Kombucha focuses less on the mind but more on the gut health and digestion through fermentation. And ginseng drinks emphasize adaptogenic stress support, helping the body cope with fatigue and pressure. And each one works through different biological pathways. If you need a productivity boost, mate is great. Matcha too. You want something light for the afternoon? Just go with a tereré, a cold mate, or maybe green tea. You need something that supports digestion? Well, any mate will do. Whether you drink it warm, whether you drink it cold, a strong one, not so strong one, but at the same time, kombucha is an alternative. Feeling burned out? Any yerba mate will help. It gives you the boost, it gives you sustainability, it brings you back on track. But as an option, ginseng is there too. And what's fascinating is, amongst all of these drinks, yerba mate is one of the fastest growing globally. And part of that growth comes from the fact that it combines several of these benefits that the other drinks, matcha, green tea, kombucha, and ginseng have. But you have that in one drink. It contains caffeine like tea. It has antioxidant levels similar to green tea. And its stimulation profile is smoother than coffee. And on top of that, mate carries a strong cultural identity and ritual. And that is the beautiful part about mate. It brings people together. And as more people look for alternatives to coffee, mate is increasingly being rediscovered as a natural, balanced energy drink. Very healthy. Lots of benefits. So at the end of the day, functional beverages remind us that drinks can be more than just something to quench thirst. They can influence how we drink, how we think, how we feel, and how we perform. And whether you're sipping yerba, whisking matcha, brewing green tea, enjoying kombucha, or trying a ginseng tonic, you're participating in traditions that span centuries. Traditions that connect culture, biology, and everyday rituals. So the next time you pick up your favorite drink, take a moment to think about what's inside and how it might be shaping your future. Yes, my friends, yerba mate, a functional beverage. Matcha, ginseng, kombucha, green tea, all good alternatives. But mate combines all of the things that you find in those drinks. So why not go with mate straight away? Get yourself a Mate Rojo Yerba Mate 10 pink bag on somasmateina.com and try it for yourself. If you don't have a gourd, get a gourd and a bombisha. Get your thermos, fill it up, prepare your mate and enjoy it. It is a beautiful, beautiful drink. And with that, we have come to the end of today's episode. It is always a very unfortunate time, but don't you worry. I've got you covered. Because next week is another episode that is waiting for you with interesting topics. We're gonna have a bunch of topics. We're gonna have the Yerba of the week review with that is something that I can already give away, a mate or a Yerba called Don 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 Don. You will see, it's a Don, a D-O-N, a Don. So you cannot go wrong with a Don, right? So tune in next Wednesday when we have our Yerba of the week review, and then we also gonna look into the topics import-export, what's going on in the world of Yerba mate, and some other interesting topics that might even happen throughout this week that we'll pick up and discuss next week. So that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the rest of the week. Grab yourself a mate. And don't stress it. Life is too short. Relax. Tranquilo, muchachos. Because el café es para mortales. El mate para leyendas.